Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show, your new favorite, your old favorite pop culture YouTube channel where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. As always, this is a spoiler show, so you have been warned. We haven't done this in a minute. We kind of did it for House of Usher, but we took the summer off with the strikes and everything, and there was... It's not like an issue, but I actually haven't actually said it on the channel. Now's as good a time as any, but I moved back in with my parents last Christmas.
Yeah.
So I'm out on the coast.
Yeah.
So I have to intentionally come into town to do this stuff.
Which is why you've been seeing a little bit more of me and Rachel.
Yeah. And so I'm still here. I'm still doing it, but it's more deliberate and less like, well, if we get to it, we get to it.
Yeah.
So that's one of a handful of factors that's going on. But on today's episode, we are going to talk about our feelings about the Marvels.
Yeah.
Play one of the trailers. There were several, and they show everything. The last trailer shows the entire climax.
Really?
Her floating in purple. Like.
Oh. Annoying.
Monica! You cannot protect your people.
You can stand tall without standing alone.
They're here.
The Marvels, rated PG-13.
Uh-oh. Monica, you gotta fly.
No.
Black girl magic.
To start out, before we actually get to talking about the movie, I think that it's very, very important in this day and age to determine true neutral.
Okay.
To determine, because it's a post-truth world. So, I like the concept of the character of Captain Marvel. I like her, I like Brie Larson as an actress. I think Brie Larson is miscast as Captain Marvel. However, I'm capable of liking her version of the character.
Sure.
I like her enough that I have a doll of her. Granted, there were several things that went into this decision, this purchase.
But also, on the flip side, I'd love to watch a movie about her one day.
I would too. I really would.
Okay.
Well, I'm not done establishing truth.
Okay.
I like women in movies.
Yeah.
I like female superheroes. I also like good movies.
Mm-hmm. I also like some bad movies.
Yeah. That is important, especially if you're new watching this. Yeah. A movie being corny or cheesy or cringy or bad is not a non-starter for us.
So, like,
that can even be a
blessing.
bonus.
Yeah. So a recent example is Rachel and I, while we were working, were trying to figure out something to put on to entertain us while we worked. And I noticed that the seminal classic Sarah Michelle Gellar movie, Simply Irresistible, was streaming on Hulu. And I watched it, and we got to the end of it, and Rachel goes, "This is bad." And
that
I was
wouldn't
like,
be my first guess of what you were saying, but I would come to it before I didn't.
Before you didn't. And I was like, I never said it was good. I said I liked it. And there's a difference.
We are currently fatigued, very fatigued with the MCU. Mm-hmm. I think that it is currently in dire straits.
Yeah.
I place a lot of blame for that, most of the blame, a lot of the blame, I place on Disney, in particular Chapek's era.
Chapek, yeah.
I think when he took over, I think he screwed everything up, and we haven't had a chance to recover yet.
Yeah.
I can get into that more later if we want to, but again, I'm just trying to establish.
We're doing an overview. We could...
So,
maybe let's save our discussion of what we think of the MCU in general for our first monthly check-in episode.
For our first monthly check-in. Those are gonna...
in January.
Those are going to start coming in January.
Yeah.
We have big plans for a monthly, the three of us sit down and talk about what we're watching.
Yeah.
So we can get into it if you guys want to hear our assessment of the state of Marvel, or the state of the MCU. But, oh, yes, sorry, that's another crucial piece of context. I watched the first Captain Marvel, I think twice, like when it came out.
Yeah. I think I've seen it 2 or 3, maybe.
I've seen the final battle and Endgame easily 40 times. Easily.
That's just from existing on the internet.
I went through that loop of YouTube videos of audience reactions and stuff. So I've seen it so many times. Every time, it still is. Mwah.
That was like the last magical experience I had in a movie theater.
And so I did.
So long ago.
Well, I think that's my preferred flavor of Captain Marvel specifically. And I know you take issue with her hair. We're not talking about that
No,
specifically.
it's fine. I like her vibe in it.
I like her, hey, Peter Parker,
Yeah.
like her cool girl, the way she interacts with him. And so that I was very invested in the Disney Plus shows as they were happening. And then I gradually came to the realization, and then it was confirmed that they don't matter unless they do.
Yeah, which is so annoying.
And so I think the MCU 100%, up 200, 500% is salvageable. However,
they can right the
have
ship
to salvage it.
Yeah.
So I'm in a place of, I'm going to take a step back because I feel like this relationship is taking more than it's giving.
Mhm.
And so while you work on your shit, very ungodly hour,
Yeah.
Chloe and Hallie, go work on yourself. And when you're ready, let me know. And
Yeah.
maybe I'll come back.
It's sort of like when you were little and you and all your cousins wanted to like put on a play and you started doing it and one of your parents was like, do you guys need like 20 more minutes?
It's exactly like that.
Should you step away and take 20 more minutes and come back?
Although in this scenario, I think instead of giving them more money, they need to be taking money away from them.
Yes. Yes.
Because, and that gets more into the MCU thing. So to try and...
What if we were actually in Jersey City? Like, you know? Like, what if...
The movie?
Like, what if that house existed for real? You know? Like...
So, I did not watch Miss Marvel. They did, and they liked it.
It's very cute. You would like it.
Well, I want to watch it now.
Yeah.
And so I probably will now. But so when I saw this movie, I went into it not knowing who Kamala was, other than that she existed. I did know Monica Rambeau from
WandaVision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember that she existed in the first Captain Marvel, but I know Tiana Paris, I know from WandaVision.
Yeah.
And so I had a general idea of what was happening. So that's the much needed context. So the actual movie, I think we'll start big and then go small.
Mhm.
Did you like the movie?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I did like it. I think there's multiple things going into that. The first is which we watched Dan Murrell's savage takedown
Searing.
of this searing of this movie, and it was like,
and to stress, he is a very he's not a hater. It's not. Yeah. It was a very actual critical analysis.
Yeah, and so my expectations were pretty tempered. Like, I was like, I'm gonna go see this. We'll get what we get. So I did end up enjoying it a lot more. I do see a lot of the things he was taking issue with. A non-zero percentage of the dialogue in this movie is dreadful. Like, dreadful. Which sucks, because all three of these women, 4 with Zawe Ashton,
Give or take.
well,
Sometimes.
they are gifted.
She was alone. Yes.
Yeah.
Zawe Ashton was an island unto herself.
Yes.
She was so alone in this production. And it's not, I don't blame her.
No.
But she was nothing.
Yeah.
She was just like, she was, I guess, like Ronan,
She is Ronan the Accuser's successor.
who was already a underdeveloped villain.
And then they met, spoilers, I'm not doing this today, just full spoilers. They meet the exact same end. The Power Stone explodes them. Like,
but they are doing so little with her
yeah.
that they couldn't even give her purple hair. They started
It was
to.
like silverish.
They started to, and then got scared and thought that might make her dynamic in any way possible.
And look,
we cannot have that.
I want for her and Tom Hiddleston's family to be just absolutely raking in the Marvel money. Get your coin, fam.
Again, I like her. close personal friend of the show.
She's looked me right in my peepers.
we met her in New York.
And that's why I was like very gifted. All 4 of these women are gifted. There went Will's camera.
I was gonna say, enjoy this wide production.
All 4 of these women, I think, are very gifted, given everything I've seen them in before.
I want to say about her specifically, because we just sort of blurted out that we liked Velvet
Buzzsaw. Yeah.
Velvet Buzzsaw, to which she said, really?
Yeah.
And we kind of felt a little bit on the spot.
No, we were like,
and
yeah,
so
it was
like,
really good.
It was like a weird movie. Yeah. I was like, but I just appreciated that it did something.
Yeah.
Even if it was uneven. And so it was a very funny interaction that made me like her. I don't know.
So again, I'm so happy for their little family that they both are, like, he's obviously getting more, but like that they've both got a Marvel paycheck. Super cute. Love that for them. You're right. She's basically nothing. I will disagree with Dan Murrell on the point that I think her motivations are weak, because I don't think her motivations are weak. I think her beef with specifically Carol is weak. But, like, wanting to save your planet is not a weak motivation. That's a decent motivation. But what bums it out for me is then also adding in, I want all of the Skrulls to die. I'm so mad, but I'm done with the Skrulls. I am sick to death.
I didn't watch Secret Invasion.
Sick to death. Sick to death. And the other thing, too, I like...
So you're just... Never mind.
What?
I'm not even. I was going to make a joke.
No.
It's not worth it.
No, it's not. I know where you're going. It's not worth it. I am so sick to death of them. It's just because I also think that they have created a humongous plot hole potential for the MCU in general, which is that anyone can be anyone. And that because they're shapeshifters. And that is so annoying to me.
I don't understand who they are. And that's my issue with this movie and these characters, is that I am aware that the movie has done it's run the numbers.
Sure.
That any issue I have, I guarantee you there is a line of dialogue addressing it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I followed it or understood it or that line of dialogue was well crafted.
Or that it worked.
So just being like, well, they said what that was in this conversation, and I'm like, that is meaningless to me if I don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
And so when I saw it, I spent the first hour of it kind of digging it. I was like, I don't know, it's not good. But I was like, but also, it's weird, and I'm kind of, I liked Kamala.
Yeah.
Iman Vellani
is
the only one in this movie doing something.
Yeah.
Brie is trying her best to balance and ground the 5 radically different directions they sent Carol in.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, literally, actually, what the fuck? Because, like...
Pick one of these struggles and make a movie about it.
And that's
I beg of you.
That's the other thing, too, is, like, the Carol-Monica relationship is just weighed down to the bottom of the ocean with these mommy issues and all of this stuff, and we'll get to the thing that actually broke this fucking movie for me if we're gonna kind of go through it. We can get to it later, but, like, you're right. Because Kamala Khan is so interesting, and I actually think if you watched this again after having watched Miss Marvel, I think you would even like this movie better, because, like, the stuff with her family, like, she and her mother go on a journey, an emotional journey.
Her family was my favorite part, and particularly her mother. And so all the stuff in her house, I was actually mostly fine, here for. Yeah. Although now that you say it, I realize the soundstage of it all was throwing me. That it just sets this movie. It kind of reminds me of the live action Aladdin movie, in the sense that I remember.
I feel like the scale was more accurate and correct with this, but I take your point.
I just remember Linda Holmes being like, "This movie is big and expensive, and it looks cheap and small."
Yeah.
And so there was so many moments where I feel like. I think Marvel tried. They pulled a DC. They tried to retroactively establish Carol as a female hero, and the biggest, they just were like, she's amazing. She's just here and powerful and amazing. And we didn't really watch it. I mean, I know that we saw her movie and I liked it, but it's like, she was mixed received by the fans.
Well,
and so there's a part of me that I'm like, I wish I could watch a movie about Captain Marvel grappling with people not liking her.
Or something, because the other thing too is apparently she still doesn't have all her memories that the Kree took from her originally.
And I don't even remember that, so I know they've said the word Kree, but I don't know what it means, and I just...
Well, and apparently they all look different.
Weren't they pink? I thought they were pink.
No, that's a different one. That's a different one. The ones from Guardians, that's
yeah,
a different
I thought
race.
They were Kree.
Yeah, no, that's a different one.
Okay.
But it's like all of the Skrulls are demonstrably Skrulls, but it's like some of the
Krees just have contact lenses.
Some of them are blue, and some of them are not, and some of them look like Zawe Ashton, and I'm just sort of like, you're not unified as a people either, so every time someone says there's a Kree, I'm like, are you sure? Like,
well, and you spend an hour of this movie following the plot and the emotions because they stay telling you this is all tell, very, very little show. And so there's this whole, like, that was weird. Why was that weird? And so for a full hour of the movie, I felt like I was fighting for my life. Even though I was largely, or kind of enjoying it, I felt like I was doing something wrong. And then there's a scene in a field where Captain Marvel's like, I guess I better say what's actually going on here.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that was not clear.
Yeah.
And also, I needed that information.
Well, because
I needed Captain Marvel too.
Yeah.
That was about her dismantling
the Kree. Yeah, or like the,
whatever they called
into the grand intelligence or whatever.
And throw in a heavy-handed AI metaphor, like how that's not the movie this was.
Or at least, like, we pick up immediately. Like, it starts immediately with her and the hammer and everything, and it's like, why didn't we have like previously on, or like a flashback kind of a...
Well, there's no lack of flashbacks in this movie.
But why didn't that open it? Why didn't that scene with, what's her even name, Darben? Why didn't that scene where she's chasing her down and Carol is exploding the grand intelligence or whatever it's called, that should have... Because then it's like a Once Upon a Time thing where it's like, oh shit, we need an explanation. Slap it right here.
This was an episode of Once Upon a Time. Jennifer Goodwin could have walked in and said, can we even do this? And I wouldn't have noticed. Like, I think minutes would have passed when I went, well, wait a minute, that was Jennifer Goodwin.
Before or after the musical number?
She just walks in carrying lampshades. Again, musical number, Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Indistinguishable.
Yeah. There was even a shiny MacGuffin.
And so the energy that I'm bringing is, I in a weird way, I want Marvel to get kicked in the face.
Yeah.
I want this wake-up call to sting them bad.
Yeah, but
I'm furious these women are going to be blamed for it.
Yep. That's the thing, is it's like, this is going to be pointed to as the failure because of everybody's fatigue, and that they also... We've heard there were extensive reshoots, a lot of the dialogue changed to be more exposition heavy, like all of this kind of behind the scenes crap, because they wouldn't let Nia DaCosta, who made an incredible Candyman reboot, actually be a director and do her own shit. So this movie is going to take the brunt of that, and it's going to be yet another mark in the column that women can't open movies, which is just in the year of the Barbie movie.
But it's because it's exactly it, is they are saying, shit, we need a woman hero and a woman director. Go find one. Versus...
Who is passionate about Captain Marvel? Let them make a movie.
Who has it? And that I was talking to Will about this a little bit last night, but I'm furious that the takeaway from Barbenheimer is going to be counter programming and movies about toys, nostalgia. Yeah. That's what they think the lesson was. And what the actual lesson was is that moviegoers are starving for actual content, and then 2 movies helmed by 2 auteurs with a complete vision, and given what they needed to execute that vision, both happened at the same time, and we both got excited, and we all got excited about that.
Yeah.
The fact that it's nostalgia based, and yes, nostalgia factors in,
Yeah.
but it's like I'm furious that the moral won't be, did you see how Mattel handled their image in this?
Yeah.
That's the takeaway lesson.
And like in conjunction with the Oppenheimer stuff, it's like, but that's the thing is like it got me even excited to watch a movie that I wouldn't normally be excited for, except I like Cillian Murphy and I'm mostly cool with Christopher Nolan. So it's like, and it was very long. But yeah, I totally get
what it needed to be.
Yeah.
I guess that comparing it with the Nia DaCosta, because I don't know a lot about her. I saw Little Woods. I did not see Candyman.
She did do Little Woods. I always forget that.
It's so small though.
It
like,
was,
the
but it
movie.
was good.
And so I could also believe that maybe she wasn't ready to helm a movie of this magnitude.
I disagree.
I said I could believe.
Oh,
that.
okay.
I could.
You know, because Candyman is obviously not as big as a Marvel movie, especially the 33rd Marvel movie, but that was like a kind of big deal, and it was so good. It was like really good, and I just don't, because it seems to be that a similar thing happened with Chloe Zhao and Eternals, which like I want to watch Chloe Zhao's Eternals because I don't think that's what we saw in the theater. And that is very frustrating.
We saw Marvel's watered down version
exactly,
of her.
And that's very frustrating to me because I'm like, again, you use the word auteur, and I'm like, you cannot hire these people
and then undermine them every
and then
step of the way.
Undermine everything they're trying to do in order to make this movie interesting. Because I've always chafed a little whenever you say the thing that it looks like all of these heroes went to the same tailor. I get it, but I'm always like, well, I don't know, like everybody's got like, you know, their stuff. And so I like usually I'm like, whatever, it's fine. But I am starting to get to that point where it's like not necessarily the costuming specifically, but it's like I feel like we're back in like a studio system kind of place where it's like all of these movies feel the same. Like nobody's doing anything interesting with the filming.
It's in a lazy or boring way, not a branding way.
Sure.
Where
yes.
I think it was branding for a very long time.
For a long time it was branding, and now it's just like, well, you've got to do this and you've got to have the late second act, you know, you lose the bangle and you know the bad guy gets it, and it's
well, the entire movie, critically, the entire movie is very scattershot because it turns out that Darbin. They said it so many times.
They did, yeah.
Darbin, because of what Carol did, the Kree world is ruined. The Civil War ruined the nature of the world. Like the sun's dying and they don't have air or water anymore.
Will leaned over to me partway through and was like, maybe if they planted some trees or something.
Well, and then because that's another thing that frustrates me about the movie is because they're using those jump holes as a plot device. It takes away a lot of the grandeur of the interstellar, because they can just blip back and forth to these places.
It's very season 8 of Game of Thrones.
So there's no, there is a, montage in this movie.
Yeah.
But I'm like, for them to get from one of these planets to the next, it takes 30 seconds.
Yeah.
We watched it. So it's it's not like they're, it's not like, oh no, Darbin will be here in X amount of time because she's just teleporting there. I
mean, to be fair, we have known about these things for quite a while because it's been in more than one of the Guardians movies. But
I'm saying if they actually had, if geography was a hurdle, that would help, I think. That would allow everything to stop and breathe for a little bit. And so we're introduced that it wants air, and then she wants sun, and then she wants water. So she must be going to this planet Aladdin because it has so much water.
I think it was Aladna.
Okay.
But whatever, yeah.
And so I thought, oh, cool. I did not watch any promotional material for this.
No, me
I
neither.
didn't see any trailers, so I didn't know. And so I was like, oh, cool. We're going to get a weird water alien planet. And I thought the design of the planet was interesting and visually pleasing, but nothing about it was a water planet.
Well,
so I'm like, we're going to a water planet, and then there's children singing, and I'm like, this is not what I was told was happening. And I mean, Brie plays it for comedy moderately successfully.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't she just tell them that?
Yeah, that part was weird.
And it looked like a theme park show.
Yeah.
It looked like when you're wandering through the Lost Continent and Islands of Adventure and they're doing like a choral. And because the gimmick, it's a good idea. It was executed very mediocrely. Because the gimmick is that they communicate through song. But again, it's just humans in colorful costumes going, we communicate through song.
Yeah. And like,
As opposed to, like,
some strategic like face prosthetics.
But I mean,
very minimal though.
If there was like these weird dulcet tones, or if it was like the alien language from Arrival, I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a part of me, and I mean, I think, and this is a taste preference, but I think more of the jokes in this movie worked than didn't.
Sure.
Because I know some people have complained about it not being funny. And
I thought it was pretty funny.
An example I heard was, and I don't remember who said it, but someone did not like the Nick Fury screaming Black Girl Magic, and I actually laughed. I guffawed. I thought it was because because the joke is that he's trying
to like elevate her emotions in a way, and I can see her being annoyed by
but
that.
in his mind, it's like a shortcut.
Yeah.
Where he's like, we don't have the time for me to properly hype you up for this moment, so I'm gonna scream Black Girl Magic at you. And I think the fact that it was Nick Fury matters.
Yeah.
Because I think if it was a white person, it's a different joke.
Well, also, I think they could have hit it a little differently if they had cut to her face and she was like rolling her eyes about it or something.
Well, she did a fair amount of that in this movie.
She sure did. She sure did.
And the thing is, I liked her on WandaVision, and also, we could do 3 full episodes on the treatment of Wanda in season in phase 4.
The fact that more than once it came out of someone's mouth, some witch hex.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Carol knows who Wanda is.
Yeah. They fought together.
Why Wanda's not in this, or at least spoken. And there's like, in the middle of the movie, there's a Valkyrie cameo.
Unbelievable.
Well,
first of all, she looked like she came in on an off day from the Men in Black sequel.
It's because I hate this too. Because she's King Valkyrie.
I get it.
And I understand. And I am here for the, like, disrupting the binary and all that. But I don't like when we just put a girl in a suit and call it.
Because it also, it wasn't even like a woman's suit.
And it's like, for me, because I hated the King Margot on The Magicians as well, because I'm like, why not take the power in the word queen?
Sure.
Like, instead of being like, I'm so great that I'm just going to bypass queen as a secondary title and go straight to king. And I'm like, no, elevate the title of queen.
Also, it's just, it's the most powerful piece on the chessboard. So, like, that's the kind of shit for me.
And so I wanted a little bit more regalia from her.
Yeah.
Her and Brie have fantastic chemistry.
They didn't kiss on the mouth.
But they kissed.
She did kiss her on the cheek.
That was a romantic scene.
It should have been.
And so
I'm tired of crumbs.
No, I get that.
I'm tired of the crumbs. Kiss on the fucking mouth. I'm sick of it. It is not enough for whichever Russo to be like my boyfriend or no.
No, but how is Valkyrie not in this movie?
Unacceptable.
And that's where I'm just
I mean, well, because it is the Marvels, and she's not, like...
Why would that matter?
Well, comic books, I don't know.
You know what I love about these movies is that I don't have to read them.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's like, my favorite Marvel movie is Captain America Winter Soldier, because that is a sequel to 3 different movies.
Sure, yeah.
That is an ensemble, and I'm begging, I mean, they have nothing but characters, and I feel... in my entire body, the irony of me complaining in this movie's review, complaining that they're not putting characters together.
Well, two of these characters were already together, and if you had watched Ms. Marvel, one of them is obsessed with the other one. So it's like these characters, I can see how they go together already, so it's still not the same.
But there's just a moment where they're trying to like evacuate the Skrulls.
I wish they'd gotten fewer of them out. I'm sick of it.
Okay.
I can't even explain how sick of it I am.
But Kamala's trying to save all of them.
Yeah.
And Carol's like, we got to do what we can. Let's go.
Yeah.
And Kamala is visibly disillusioned. And then it's mentioned again later in like sorry about that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that should have been the emotional crux of this movie.
Is like losing the hero worship, 100%. That's where I thought we were going, and then we just didn't.
And again, I think that could make people like Carol.
Yeah.
In a real way.
Yeah. Because for me, the annoying part is then they turned it around into her having this just like absolutely life-ruining guilt, and it's why she never came home to ever see Monica again.
I want to feel that. I don't want to be told that.
Well, yeah, but also for me, it's like based on her saying that we have to save the ones we can, and then she did genuinely apologize to Kamala later. She was like, "I'm sorry that I yelled at you. Like that was not appropriate. It's just like whatever." That does not. This is when you with your 5 Carols thing, which is like that does not mesh with. I was so overcome with guilt that I couldn't come. That I did this to the Kree that I couldn't come home. Those two personalities. If she is enlightened enough to say we have to save the people we can save, then you can't have that level of life-ruining guilt where you're never going to see your family again. Her
behavior on the singing/water planet was an entirely different character.
So weird.
And I'm not saying
but I loved her dress.
I liked it.
It was just like a fancy dress version of her uniform, which, by the way, was disgustingly Snyder colored in this movie. Unacceptable.
There was plenty of color in this movie.
Well,
I like the 3/4 sleeves, though.
Especially, though, because Kamala Khan is right next to her in the absolute brightest red, white, and silver, or red, blue, and silver.
Wearing literal bangles.
And, like, yeah, I don't know.
It's not that I don't think that a character or this character can have multitudes. I don't think they were massaged. I don't think they were fleshed out. I think they were breakneck. And
it's also worth noting that this movie is only an hour and 45 minutes, and I actually think it could have benefited from 15 more. I have a feeling that's part of all the reshoots and stuff I have a feeling they cut a lot of the stuff that would have made it make sense.
I also,
would have massaged those.
I think the budget needed to be $150 million tops. The fact that it was $250 million plus,
no, it's
there's just not, and with that logic, the studios can't be like they can't use money as an excuse.
Yeah,
when they won't stop pouring money into these things.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear that you don't have money to pay us.
Yeah,
and
I also don't want to look at scenes again of Carol stepping down onto her ship that look like I drew them in MS Paint. Some of those transitions were not good CGI.
Well, and it also, speaking back to Carol specifically, or Bree rather, Bree has well-documented rapport and chemistry with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Across franchises.
I don't think they shared a scene together in this movie. Yeah. And that's when we broke Will.
And again, this movie is not that bad.
No.
It's what it represents. It's what it is and its placement in time.
Yeah.
That is breaking so many people.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
It's the Arrested Development. I don't know why that's it, but that's it. And there were so many points in the movie where I'm like, help me help you.
Yeah.
And just seeing those 3 women stand in a medium-sized room with Zawe Ashton doing this sometime. Because there's a moment...
I actually did like some of the fight choreography with them all bursting, into each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I thought some of it was, pretty cool, and I thought they did, a good job. One huge thing I have a problem with is that too many times, even after they realized that whenever they shot at Dar-Ben, it powered up the bangle that she had. They kept doing it. They kept looking surprised. And at no point were they were like, Kamala, why don't we power up your bangle? Not one. No, they never. No power was ever shot at Kamala's bangle.
I don't understand a stitch of any of their powers, because I even said to Will, and I was like, does Kamala have a big hand?
She can.
And he was like, kind of. And I was like, there's a scene in this movie where
When she grabbed them out of space.
There's a scene in this movie where Brie Larson and Tiana Taylor, or Parrish, are like floating in space, and this giant pink hand grabs them, and then we full stop, just cut to the three of them on a
So
ship.
that is something you missed in Miss Marvel. And also, her powers in the MCU are not exact to her powers in the comic books, but she can make her light physical.
My point is, we didn't see what that hand was connected to.
It was her.
So why they had illustrated the shot of the hand taking the two girls, but we never saw it connect to a shoulder and her bring them down? It was just very much like, whew.
Yeah.
It was very Archie, we got away from the bear in the commercial break.
Yeah.
I found it shocking.
It is her. I can confirm it is. It is her.
But
you're
I'm
like,
just
that's
saying,
not my problem.
Who allowed a giant pink hand to materialize in space, but then not actually tell us what it was?
I think it's those missing 15 minutes. I think there probably would have been that, but that is part of it. She can like manifest. She can physically manifest her light, which is why she was making those orbs around herself and stuff. And she can she can punch like a big hand.
I also, I was so ready, and it's not so much because I think I like Zawe Ashton, but I think Darbin's success as a character was very minimal.
And
so
I don't think it's her fault.
It's not that I wanted to keep her, but if we were, did that just shut off too?
Mine just died as well. Yeah. Okay. Yay!
We'll do it live. It's not that I wanted to keep her, but if we wanted to let anything resonate, is what I think should have happened was, I think when she was powering up, Carol should have ripped her arms off.
Ooh.
And so we could see her again.
Sure. Just with
angry,
no arms.
And when that didn't happen, I was just like, oh, because...
And then she just disintegrated in space, which is so boring.
Because I need a jolt. I need something from Carol. I need an edge.
Yeah.
From her.
Yes. Because right now, despite the fact that she has potentially caused 2 genocides, I'm still getting Superman vibes from her, where it's like, I can't kill though. And I'm like, you could.
You have. Yeah,
you could and you have.
Really, really have.
You could and you have and you should.
And so that's sort of what I wanted, and that could have piggybacked off of and we're in that place, culturally right now, where there's there's what we should do, and then there's what we can do.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, it's about doing what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Someone needs to make those decisions. And I would love if that character, because Iron Man would make that decision. Well, you know what I mean?
100%. And I think it's like...
They need to decide if she's Tony or Steve, because they're trying to make her both.
And that you're totally right. And that's the thing where it's like, someone needs to be the one who makes these decisions. And literally, in my opinion, who better than the most powerful Avenger that we have right now?
And again,
because
I would like to watch her organically be powerful, not just slap a bunch of glowing light on her and say, look how powerful she is.
Because that's the thing too. I understand that Wanda is potentially actually more powerful, but if I were Elizabeth Olsen, I would never come back.
Have you heard?
Is she not?
What I've heard, it's the gossip behind the scenes stuff is that she is not interested. I think they could, and I think they need to get her back, but I think a lot of things have to happen before that does happen, because apparently she's pissed.
I would be too. I would be so pissed.
She was already kind of an indie girl anyways, and she was just sort of like, I don't need this. Yeah. And it's just, the further we get away from Multiverse of Madness, the angrier I get, because she's one of the few characters that they actually truly introduced us to and let her grow. And so we're in, I'm desperate for the new class but you can't just tell me they're the new class and say, come watch it.
Yeah.
I need to see the graduation.
You have to build it. Which we seem
one of the-
to maybe be hinting towards finally for the love of Christ at the end of this movie, but still.
I would be excited.
If we hadn't been talking about it since season 1 of Loki.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have faith. That's the issue. I would be excited if I had faith, and I don't. So, because apparently, because you know how Feige apparently saw Daredevil and was like, this is unreleasable and scrapped it entirely.
Mhm.
Apparently, that also happened with Captain America 4.
Shit.
So part of the moving it a year is because they're starting from scratch,
Mhm.
and they don't know how they're going to get Harrison Ford back, and
They're fucking not.
and to put Anthony Mackie in that position
Unbelievable.
is it's offensive.
It's so
shocking
offensive, yeah.
and it's offensive, and it's the thing that we always prided and gave MCU props for is the first Iron Man movie is so manageable.
So manageable. We are like 3 minutes into this movie and there is a sky laser. It's so early. It's so immediate.
My kingdom for characters having a conversation. Well, no, we got plenty of characters having conversations in the room. Scratch that. But you know what I mean.
Info dumping. It was not conversations. It was info dumping.
Yes. And so I'm like, Endgame happened. Go back small.
Yeah.
And no, okay, so something like Shang-Chi, yes, I loved Shang-Chi, and also it has the third act CGI clusterfuck.
But it did something.
And it I think it suits the grandeur of his character and that world.
Yeah.
Because it sort of was like, it was almost one of the, like, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
Like, there's that ballet in the middle of it where
Yeah.
his parents meet and stuff. I think that all of that money suited the mythos and the characters and all of that. Whereas some of these others, I don't know.
No, I'm totally like there is in my opinion, there is less than no excuse why Ant-Man 3 was that way. No excuse.
And I need more. I need to understand what I need to understand what this means. I need to understand the stakes. I need people from S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Would that Maria Hill
S.H.I.E.L.D.
was in
is-
this movie? And
Well, also,
do you know what I mean?
S.H.I.E.L.D.
Like-
is totally defunct.
Well, but
Yeah.
yes, but it's like I need to understand, because basically the end of this movie, and we'll get to it because we need to. But the end of this movie, there's a bunch of flurkins let loose on New York City. That is a crisis.
That is a crisis.
That is a crisis. Not
And
only
no one seems concerned about it.
not only do I think we will never see nor hear of
Yeah.
it, like no one even mentioned that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would watch that though.
Yeah.
Like I would watch a movie where that was the inciting
Sure.
incident,
Yeah.
and I would want more from it. I don't think that's enough. It could be.
Yeah.
It could be enough for season 2 of Miss Marvel. Like it's that continuity. Just going, that's the character from the before movie. That's not continuity.
No, for sure. And it's like, while I will always welcome Haley Steinfeld on my TV screen, my movie screen, whatever, love her to pieces. Think Kate Bishop is super good and really exciting. She also only spoke like 3 words.
I mean, we brought in a breathtaking Florence Pugh into this.
Yes.
And
Where's she? What's she up to?
and now I hear Thunderbolts is on the is like, and I'm like, that's the one I was excited for.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the one I wanted to watch.
Do we want to talk about the thing that broke the movie for me?
Sure.
Because it goes into the Kate Bishop stuff
So sorry.
as well.
We do need to talk about the Flurkin scene, but
Oh, well, just that they were like,
I loved it.
It was so
Some
funny.
people don't like that part. I thought it worked for me. I thought it
So
was so funny.
Yeah.
And the far too on the nose choice of memory.
no, it was perfect.
Yeah, but I mean, it's on the noseness was part of why it's perfect, especially
It's
to
like
cut,
slow-mo running.
to cut to the cats in space.
Yeah.
With the crescendo.
Yeah. And I love the like sort of robotic voiceover that's like, please do not run from the Flurkins. Let them
the
eat you.
Flurkins
Yeah.
eat you. It was
It's very good.
like a little bit more. Yeah, I wanted an edge.
And also, because this was a different version of Carol too, because when Fury is like, this is what we're doing, and she's like, so we're literally hurting cats, and he was like, yep, and she just goes, okay, come here, kitty, and starts going off to chase one. Adorable, great. That's the kind of shit Brie Larson's really good at, like, more of that. And also, it was like such a breakneck from some of this, like, really dour emotional stuff. It felt very disjointed, tonally. That was another thing Dan Murrell said. That was tonally all over the place, and I get that for sure.
I was just gonna say, not for nothing, Brie looks very good.
She looks
There were shots of her from behind
in that tank top.
I appreciate. Well, in the suit.
Oh, in the suit. She does have a great ass.
But I think she's kind of grown into it, because that was my issue with her casting, is I think that she pings girlish.
Yeah.
And I think Carol should be more of a woman.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I think she should, like,
Yeah.
But what broke the movie for you?
Okay, so it's a twofold, and I'm gonna get to the one that makes me the most angry second. But the Kate Bishop thing is actually sort of infuriating, because we have been talking about this, like, young Avengers thing for what feels like a decade. Like, I feel like we started hearing about it with the first Spider-Man. So I feel like, let's go. Like the first Tom Holland Spider-Man. And so I'm just very, like, I'm in a place where I'm like, if you're gonna do it, fucking do it. I don't want any more scenes of two of these younger characters. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And so, again, I hope that we're actually going somewhere with that. But the way that the industry is going right now, and the way we just came off of this strike and all of this stuff, I think it's just 5 more years, 10 more, like, Tom Holland is going to be 40 by the time that we're getting to some of this shit. Really annoying. So, well, I didn't say I don't want him to be 40. I'm saying that's too old to play Peter Parker, who hasn't started MIT yet. So the thing that made me the most furious, I'm glad that we're not actually done with Monica, because I almost was leaving. I was gonna leave when she, like, got stuck through the other side of the portal, whatever, in a different dimension. I was like, fuck that. Like, that's not cool. She is alive. So is an alternate version Maria, and I'm furious. I hate it. I don't know. She's done all this work about her mom. She did all this work about Carol. We saw a lot of it in WandaVision. We saw a lot of it now. They came back to peace. She does not need more of this Maria mother trauma where she's a different character. She's got the bangles. No. And also, if this is how we're getting the X-Men, I'm gonna kill someone. I think it's so lazy. I am not excited. Why are they in a different dimension? Does that mean Deadpool's in a different dimension? And that's how we're getting... Okay. Why? How?
Two things. I hear that, and I agree with a lot of it. Yeah. Counterpoint, Lashana Lynch.
Of course, yes, I want her in this, and I want her employed, but character-wise, it sucks.
I loved that gold tracing they put
cool.
in her hairline.
Yeah, it was cool.
The costume, I'm still...
Well, it's like, she's not even, like, who she was, because she
was binary.
Well, she has the bangles.
Okay.
She has Kamala's bangles, or, like, the other dimension's bangles.
It bears... this conversation bears having here. There's also a lot of talk on the internet about how the multiverse is terrible and it's not working and we need to stop and move on. To that, I say it's not working because they're not doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it means. Yep. I don't understand the rules of it. It's this abstract, amorphous threat that in every phase 4 and 5 movie, the sky cracks open purple. And why are some of the variants the same actor and some of the variants aren't, and why
But it also hasn't done, so the purple crack comes in everything, but also not, what I was thinking initially, which I thought was a very cool idea, is that, especially with the Loki thing and the WandaVision thing, and then, like, another thing is that though all of those incidents...
You're watching Loki 2, season 2. Are you enjoying it?
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. But my initial thing is that all of those things were happening concurrently, which burst open the multiverse. That is not what they're doing. It just keeps happening, and there's no consequences. And then with the Maria thing, in relation to my big issue with the Skrulls, the multiverse totally and completely renders any stakes completely null and void, because there's always just another version of that character in a different universe.
It's like what Lily Sparks said on Once Upon a Time,
Yeah.
where she was like, you can pinpoint the jumping of the shark of a sci-fi show the second they go to heaven or hell.
Yeah.
Because death is no longer
100%.
a stake. And so the only place that, because any idea and every story is worth telling. You can tell a story about literally anything. So, but that needs to factor into the story.
Yeah.
And so when you have a character like Hela, who is death personified, at the end of Ragnarok, I was like, theoretically, wouldn't that just make her more powerful?
Well, at the very least, it certainly wouldn't kill her, because that is...
I was like, she is death.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand that Cate Blanchett isn't going to get shackled to these movies.
Of course.
But also, why not?
Yeah.
Write her the check.
Yeah.
Like, she should have been in Endgame. Like, she should have been, because that whole thing, and that I set myself up for failure. You saw it coming a mile away, and you told me not to, and I said, don't worry, it's not, I'm fine, and I wasn't fine. Because in the comics, Thanos is doing all that because he's courting death. And she is personified as a woman.
Yeah.
And so I was like, how there wasn't a reveal at the end of Infinity War where Thanos walks up to Hela, even bigger, even weirder, even more powerful, and was like, I've gotten you your thing.
What you wanted, yeah.
I just,
Yeah. We're also, like, in a way that I don't love any of the kind of politics stuff that they've done. We're still pretending that we're trying to make the blip happen, and, like, the consequences of the blip are also very nebulous, depending on what kind of story we're telling.
We've seen it, because we wanted that. We wanted them to spend time exploring the ramifications of it. And we've seen 2 or 3 thoughtful scenes of Monica Rambeau or Yelena Belova blipping and coming back. But we haven't followed, like...
The biggest, like, political overarching thing that they did was in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we just hated that storyline so much that
So I said that to Will, I was like, what I like about Falcon and Winter Soldier was
Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Anthony and Sebastian, and then I was thrilled, tickled to have Florence Kasumba.
Yeah.
And frankly, Wyatt Nash.
And Daniel Bruhl.
Or Wyatt Russell. I do that every single time. And so I think the plot of Falcon and Winter Soldier was garbage. I think the character work was interesting.
Good,
And that is another place where, and again, you know, someone like me, who I love the character like Pepper Potts, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, I understand that she's largely done with this. However, she has said more than once that she'll come back for a small scene.
Yeah.
So why we're not ever seeing Pepper running Stark?
Yeah.
Like, why she's not paying?
That part for me.
Falcon didn't...
Yeah.
You cannot save the entire universe and not...
And meanwhile, your sister's shrimp boat is going bankrupt. No.
Write him a fucking check.
Yeah.
Gwyneth, she'll zoom in from her own office. Like,
well, also not for nothing, but
and it
like,
doesn't have to be her, but address that.
Someone.
Like,
But also, Sam is... and also a real United States military hero. The government is not also, like...
Wait, are you saying that the government doesn't take care of our...
The United States government does not take care of their veterans. I'm saying
I think you just made a fact right there.
ACAB!
How do you wake up dead?
But yeah, that's the thing for me is, like, because... Where I have the issue with the Skrulls is that anyone can be anyone. Like, you know, I'm not...
Also, other than
Nick Fury has been a Skrull more than once. Like, been revealed to have been a Skrull pretending to be him.
Also, other than liking Ben Mendelsohn, I don't have a concept for what they are. Like, I don't really understand. Because they keep... and I think part of it, and this is a good idea, take it and run, somebody. Pay me? I don't care.
Yeah. No, I'd like $50,000 at least.
But the fact that they look like goblins.
Sure.
So they look a way that we as people, Earthicans, perceive
We're
as
called Terrans.
Earthicans is Futurama,
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
Terrans. The fact that they look like something evil,
Mm.
but are refugees.
Sure.
There is a brilliant
Yeah.
story in there that it's not gonna happen. It's
No.
not gonna.
Definitely not. But I was gonna say that paired with now there's another Maria running around. No matter how much I love Lashana Lynch and do want her to stay getting paid, the stakes that we built up to so well into Endgame, where it's like we lost people, people are gone, the people are dead. That doesn't matter anymore. Like, because while I don't think that Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., or Scarlett Johansson are going to come back, there's going to be a different Captain America, a different Iron Man, and a different Black Widow that we're going to pull in from fucking somewhere and just try to do this again.
It's meant to be Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt, which I was really excited for when I thought it was in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So when we do inevitably get to it, it will be the definition of too little too late.
Way too. Just like the Black Widow movie. Just like the Black Widow movie.
We haven't said, there's 2 or 3 more things that we do have to say. I can feel us starting to come down the other side of the curve. But we have yet to actually say the word beast.
Oh.
I wish we had your camera right now. My reaction to it was, huh. Because I think weirdly Kelsey Grammer's one of those people too.
Yeah.
Where it's like he's almost terrible, but also you still kind of like him. And
Yeah.
him as Beast in X3 was weird, but I recall liking it. I haven't seen X3 in ages.
Yeah, but 20 years later, it's even more insane.
But so I was just sort of baffled. You were like, what?
No.
Like you were like flipped the table angry.
I'm not excited.
It just, and again, considering the climate and considering the criticism that they're receiving, I don't think that we're going to get Anna Paquin or Sophie Turner, but it's like, wouldn't you use this opportunity to give someone that was previously screwed over an actual encore or an actual, like...
Sure. What Will said is that because I was like, Nick Holt isn't busy. His show just got canceled. I was like, Nick Holt could have done this. And he was like, well, it's going to, because Wolverine is in Deadpool 3, he said what's going to happen is that's how they're going to send off the OG characters in a way they deserve. And I'm just like, okay, I guess.
I would be thrilled about that 5 years ago.
I'm like, the wheels have been spinning in this mud since 2019. When are you going to realize that we're stuck in the mud? Like, when are you gonna get like a thing and brace the back of the wheel? Like, it's killing me. Call a tow truck.
Miss Piggy needs to get out of the cab and Muppet Family Christmas and push, because we are not getting anywhere.
We're not getting anywhere. There's no traction left on these tires, and just And also, then like the last two, or the first two title cards at the end of this movie were directed by Nia DaCosta, written by 3 women, and then 4 women in a row as the stars, and Jesus wept. I'm just like, fuck you. It's infuriating. It's so infuriating.
So do you understand? Because I
get why you're angry. Yeah.
And it's not necessarily angry, because it's like people are going to be like, is this movie good or bad? And I'm going to be like, how much time do you have?
If somebody just asked me that point blank, my knee-jerk reaction, if they just want like a I'm fine type of response, is it's good. But would you also then like a dissertation?
Well, so we're at we will be by no means rebranding, but we are sort of like refreshing the show, I think, come the new year. Yeah. And so one of my things that one of the formats that I found that we organically fell into is we have sort of like a 4-tier system where we're sort of like, was the movie good or bad?
We've got an X and Y axis.
Yeah, it's like, was the movie good or bad? And then did we like it or not?
Yeah.
Because those things can be all over.
Yeah.
Because as you said, Frozen 2's a bad movie.
But we
I
liked
really
it.
like it.
Yeah.
I watch it all the time.
This is a mediocre movie,
Uh-huh.
and I liked it more than I thought I was going to.
If you think about it for even 1 second,
It all falls to pieces.
you black out.
Yeah.
I mean, blinding
Yeah.
rage.
It's the other thing too, where it's like I don't feel the necessity anymore, like I did for the first 3 phases, to retain any of the information I gather in these individual movies, because nothing seems like it matters. Nothing seems like it connects to anything else. We just keep getting little one-off.
Well, it won't matter until it does.
Yeah, and we just keep getting little one-off, like Kate Bishop in this movie, and I'm like, cool, make that mean something, and then I'll remember it. But right now, I don't. Like, I couldn't tell you, like, more than 2 things about Ant-Man 3. You know? That's, like, where I'm at.
I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer and
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
Canonically fucked. They canonically fucked a lot.
She got dick down. We know that.
If
we know
if
that.
we know one thing about Ant-Man 3. But whatever. We're off the rails now, so we should probably wrap up. But
I don't know. If you're still watching at this point, let us know down in the comments. Are we off the rails or are we on the
did
rails?
we finally get the rails again?
Do you like it? Do you like it?
I will say, for me, the one unimpeachable part of this movie was Iman Vellani. 100%.
And I think it should be said because, once again, given the cultural and political climate, this is probably a very, very interesting and difficult week for her.
Yeah.
And so I want to sing loudly her praises.
She's very good.
She was doing something.
Yeah.
She was good at it, what she was doing. And somebody needed to be doing something.
I have a theory, and it's that she actually is like the biggest Captain Marvel fan IRL, and so she was excited. She was excited to be in this movie.
Okay. Well, I think it worked.
Yeah.
It worked in her favor.
It worked a lot. We talked about her a little bit before, but Zenobia Shroff, who plays her mother, is also very good. And I can't overstate how much the like mom stuff really got to me in both Miss Marvel and in this. That's more of a personal thing, but like they are kind of nailing the mom stuff kind of throughout, if we're being honest. So yeah, it was good. Their relationship in this movie, so beautifully built. Like they didn't go backwards like Multiverse of Madness did with Wanda. Like the relationship between Kamala and her mother is absolutely a continuation of how it grew in the show, and I appreciated that.
Somebody somewhere decided that was the through line.
Yes, it was.
Well, because like I said, I plan on watching Miss Marvel now.
Yeah, it's really good.
There's a few more things I think I was going to say or wanted to say.
Well, we've got another up and comer coming for Winston Duke's seat. Abraham Papula.
Was he on Saber?
Yeah.
The two of them were interesting.
Her name is Layla Farzad, Talia, and Dag.
I wish their characters were more deliberate.
It was very another fill my bucket with nothing but thighs. It's just a big man, just a big hot man.
So, I think that's good for us for now. We don't have a sign off. Because we mostly just kind of go until we're done.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. That's all I really have to say. I'm sure it'll come up again. Like
I mean, like and subscribe. It helps us out. And also, if you want to keep following this conversation, this conversation will carry over.
It will continue. Yeah.
Into other videos.
Otherwise, we're currently releasing Desperate Housewives coverage season 1. Also, Gilmore Girls season 1 just ended, but Dawson's Creek season 1 with me and Rachel will be starting soon.
And True Blood season 3 is
We are
going
to get to True Blood season 3. We've already done 1 and 2, and then after that, what did you say you wanted to? You were willing to do Friday Night Lights with me.
I'm willing to do Friday Night Lights, and there's
Once Upon a Time. We're like, there's a lot of irons in the fire. We just have to like actually get there. So, and Rachel and I are watching the new season of The Gilded Age. There's like no crossover between any of those shows I just said and this movie, but just so you know, that's where we're at.
And then we're trying to do more on the Patreon. You can head on over to the Patreon. We're trying to do more full-length watch-alongs.
Yep.
So check it out.
Yep. Yeah. All right.